Good morning,
Good morning.
everybody.
Yeah. 27.
That's a good number. I like that number.
Ooh, that's a great
Think
number.
about that number.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right, so each of us has our unique journey to walk during this human experience. And while each pathway is unique, there is a common urge within all of us to transcend the mundane so that we might experience higher levels of being, higher levels of thinking, and higher levels of behaving in this human experience. And I believe this urge in each of us to reach for these transcendent ways of living is fueled by one underlying urge, a deeper desire for our oneness with the divine, our deeper desire for our oneness with the divine, or said another way, to live the spiritual truth that we are. This month we're going to be supported in this quest as each week we take a different look at the pathway of transcendence, each one taking us deeper and leading us higher into that desired state of consciousness and conscious unity with God. Today we look at the pathway of power. As I was thinking about that word and its meaning, there's really a lot wrapped up in those 5 little letters, I started to think about the ways the word power is used. And here are just a few. Solar power, horsepower, political power, flower power, battery power, girl power, nuclear power, black power, absolute power, willpower, star power, power hour, power line, power hitter, power bar, power tool, power train, power point, power up, power down, power outage, power play, power wash, power to the people, power versus force, power of now, power in the blood, power to spare, power of one, power of positive thinking, power ball, and of course, there is a power for good in this universe, and you can use it. Whew.
Did you think of all those yourself?
That was a mouthful, wasn't that? Well, power is everywhere. And it's that last statement coined by Ernest Holmes that will be our focus today. We can use this power for good in this universe because it is right where?
Here.
Inside of us. It is our internal power. Our pathway of power is not an external walk, but an inside job. We simply must walk the pathway to access it. And in today's world of volatile outward experiences, connecting with our internal power is imperative if we are to weather the storms of our human existence. So let's explore how. Everybody ready? Okay. We have a fabulous teaching about the use of internal power at Matthew 8:23 to 27, where we learned of the miracle of the calming of the sea. I suspect that you all know it if you're familiar with some of your Bible teachings, but just in case you need a refresher, Jesus had spent the day preaching and teaching and healing. When the day was through, he and his disciples got into a boat to travel to their next gig. Jesus was pretty darn tired, so he fell asleep right away. Suddenly, a violent storm erupted, and the sea became very rough. So rough, in fact, that the boat was being tossed about and flooded with the waves. The disciples got scared and woke Jesus, saying, "O Lord, save us. We are perishing." Jesus said to them, "Why are you fearful, O you of little faith?" Then he got up and rebuked the wind and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men were astonished, saying, "Who is this man that even the winds and the sea obey him?" Who was this man? He was a man who transcended conditions by living at a higher level of being, thinking, and obviously behaving. He was a man who lived in constant connection and communion with his internal source of power. He was a man who knew how to use his power for good. And I want to look at 3 important elements in this miracle of calming the stormy seas and see how they are teaching moments for all of us on our pathway to power. So first, Jesus was asleep. The second, "O you of little faith." And the third, Jesus rebuked the winds. So we're going to start with number 1, Jesus was asleep. Often being asleep is a metaphor for unconscious or unaware in a very unhealthy way. But I do not believe that this would be the accurate interpretation here. Instead, this interpretation should be of one who is serene, at peace, allowing, unafraid, even detached. In other words, not uptight, not nervous, not controlling, not afraid. What's important here is not that Jesus fell asleep, but that he stayed asleep as the storm raged on. Who knows? He may well have stayed asleep and slept right through it had his disciples not awakened him. In other words, he was not going to be bothered by what was going on in the outside world. If we replace the word asleep with the words I used a moment ago, we would get Jesus stayed serene, at peace, allowing, unafraid, and detached as the storm raged on. Serene, at peace, allowing, unafraid, and detached. These are carefully selected words. These are power words. And I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. But first, the next important element of this miracle. O you of little faith. His disciples got scared and woke Jesus, saying, Our Lord, save us. We are perishing. Jesus said to them, Why are you fearful, O you of little faith? This must have been one of Jesus' favorite statements. He used it more than once, and I used it in a wonderful passage that I believe we shared last week or maybe the week before, when he said, Since God so brilliantly adorns the lilies of the field, which today are here and tomorrow thrown on the fire, why would he not do more for you, O you of little faith? Or as religious science minister David Owen Ritz interprets it, do you know David? Yes. Oh, you knuckleheads. But I get an image of a gentle Jesus, not an irritated Jesus, saying this to his disciples on the boat, realizing that they just haven't gotten it yet. They just don't understand that they can trust, that they can believe. They can remain steadfast in the knowing that there is the very essence of life in, around, and through them. And all they need to do to be safe is to put their faith in it. Gentle, trusting, believing, steadfast. These are more powerful words. Power words. Number 3, he rebuked the winds. Jesus knew that he had immediate access to power and that he could use it. In religious science terminology, we would say he spoke his word and activated the law. The mother of New Thought, who's that? Everybody remember who the mother of New Thought is?
Mary Eddy.
No, Emma Curtis Hopkins. I know, another one of those 3 named. She wrote in her classic book, Scientific Christian Mental Practice, we have unlimited power. If we do not use that power, it does not alter the fact that it is our inheritance. It's kind of like the power that keeps our electricity running. If we do not switch that switch on, it doesn't mean that power isn't there anymore. It just means that we haven't done our part. Dr. Ernest Holmes writes in The Science of Mind, we are dealing with the same power that molds the planets and all that is upon them. And the limit of our ability to use this power is not in principle, but in our understanding of it. Jesus understood this power and he used it. And he used it with confidence, with courage, on purpose, and unselfishly. These are, you guessed it, also power words. So I've used some specific words this morning. I've selected them intentionally, and I have said that they are power words. So what do I mean by that? First, let me say them again. Confidence, courage, purpose, unselfish, gentle, trusting, believing, steadfast, serene, at peace, allowing, unafraid, detached. Who's familiar with David Hawkins' book, Power versus Force? Yeah? We've talked about it here before. I meant to bring it this morning and I had it upstairs and didn't go back up and get it, but I will bring it next week. In this book, he uses kinesiology to calibrate attitudes based on a numerical scale. Anything calibrating over 200 is considered to be tapping into power. Under 200 is tapping into force. You all know I love words and their meanings and playing around with them. Every word I chose this morning, which Jesus so beautifully taught in the experience of calming the troubled seas and sky, calibrate to a vibration of over 200. In Power versus Force, Hawkins has a 2-page listing of attitude pairings, one of which calibrates over 200 and the other which does not. Hawkins suggests that just by reading over the list, that's all you have to do, by merely becoming acquainted with the differences between these poles, we can begin to increase our inner power. He writes, with these distinctions in mind, we'll start to notice things we never observed before. Such revelations occur because the universe favors power. Wow. So here are the pairings for the words that I've used this morning. We have peaceful and belligerent, serene and dull, allowing, controlling, detached, removed, confident, arrogant, courageous, reckless, purposeful, desirous, unselfish, selfish, gentle, rough, trusting, gullible, believing, insisting, steadfast, faltering. Whew, did you feel the difference of either side of those words? We each have access to great, great power. As we begin to live from our own power, we absolutely can change the world. According to Hawkins, one individual at level 300 counterbalances 90,000 individuals below 200. Wow. One individual at level 400 counterbalances 400,000 individuals below level 200. And one individual at level 500 counterbalances 750,000 individuals below 200. So this morning, let's amp up our conscious use of the power that we already are. We're going to do a little meditation right now, and then Rod is going to go into a song to anchor us into this powerful, powerful moment. So, if you'd like to close your eyes. Join me as we go within. Breathe in and relax. Remember a meditation that we did recently where you were imagining yourself floating on a pond. It is a pond as big as the ocean. It has everything in it that is possible to know or feel or think or see. The whole wide world is in it. It is a safe and beautiful pond. Slowly let yourself sink down in the pond. Breathing underwater is not a problem, so you needn't worry about that. Slowly, slowly sink to the bottom. It is a lovely sandy bottom. There are plants and fish and shells and rocks. Just sit and enjoy it for a time. And then look up and see the surface far, far above you. It shimmers like a jewel in the sunlight. Begin to watch all things that are floating by on the surface. Your thoughts, pictures of things, even people's faces, just let it all drift by. Be at peace. Even as you notice a storm raging on the surface, something you are questioning or worrying about, conditions in your life right now that seem scary, there is only deep peace here. Here at this place you'll realize that it's just a surface storm, and that in this deep place of calm, it cannot touch you. In this meditative state, invite forth a word that will be your word of power. When you're feeling disconnected to the power of the universe, which is your power, say this word. I'm going to share with you some of the words that Hawkins says calibrate above 200. Let them wash over you. Be with each one. If one jumps out at you, perhaps it will become your power word. Abundance, accepting, agreeable, appreciative, aware, balanced, believing, brilliant, carefree, cheerful, charitable, confident, considerate, detached, devoted, diplomatic, empathetic, energetic, enlivening, eternal, flexible, fair, free, generous, global, gracious, harmonious, honoring, inspired, ingenious, joyful, kind, loving, merciful, natural, nurturing, open, optimistic, patient, peaceful, praising, principled, purposeful, receiving, respectful, responsible, serene, spiritual, surrendering, tender, timeless, trusting, unifying, valuing. Say the word you have chosen or has chosen you softly aloud now, and then breathe it in and breathe it out. Say your word now. It is your word of power. And at any moment from this moment on, it will open your pathway to power, to the power of one, the power of God. And so it is.
One power, one power, one power, one power, invisible, yet you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angel's wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in our heart we're all the same. We'll remember once we close our eyes to see that such distances were never meant to be. Ooh, call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or heaven's door. It's Mohammed, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? whatever name you give it. It's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. Oh, one power, power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon for a love that's most deep. One power, one power. What we are is one power. Oh, it's the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and in me.
Well done.
And so it is.